This video has been a long time in the coming. It was first suggested back in, I don't know, like March by Backroad Exploration on YouTube.
Rob over at Revere, Overland. He's so talented.
I think I had around 8,000 subscribers at the time, and we thought that was a great idea, so we decided we'd wait until 10,000 subscribers, and it didn't happen. And then we were like, well, we'll do a 20,000 subscriber thing, and still didn't happen. So now at 25,000 subscribers, we're finally doing a little Q&A. So in front of me, I've got a list of questions that I printed out, and these are all from Patreon and Facebook and YouTube, but I have a few set ones that came from Backroad Exploration on the video he did, and the first of those is, how did you get into it? How did you get into four-wheel drive or overlanding? And that's probably the fault of my friend Jeremy. He took me out a few years ago in his old Jeep Grand Cherokee, no air conditioning, middle of summer in Kentucky, stupid hot, and I'd say it was probably about a week later I went out, I bought myself the same vehicle with no air conditioning, and we went out in and around Kentucky for like half a year after that, before I realized I wanted some air conditioning. And it wasn't really the mud and the off-roading that I enjoyed so much, it was more of the getting out and exploring, so I had to go and upgrade to something a little better that could get me across country.
That, and you wanted your wife to come with you.
That, yeah, and she refused to come with me in,
that was disgusting.
what did you call it, like the murder vehicle?
The murder mobile.
Yeah.
There were mysterious red stains inside of it.
It was pretty rough, and obviously no air conditioning was a deal breaker for you.
That and holes in the floor. And
the holes in the floor, the rust, yeah. Next question on there was the favorite types of videos to watch on YouTube. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't watch a whole lot of overlanding videos. I don't find them that interesting. I like seeing the cinematic style videos, so I really enjoy seeing the scenery. So I'll watch like Expedition Overlands. I think most people watch Expedition Overland. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of overlanding videos that I watch. Next question on there was, what is the most difficult thing about creating YouTube videos? And I think for me, it's the whole creative thing with the music. I struggle so much with the music. Just finding whatever music works. You know, you can't just put on dubstep on every single video. In fact, you can't put that on any overlanding videos because you'd never get any views. But finding the music that works with it, and once you've found the music and you think it works, you'll publish that video, and then within days someone's commented saying they hate the music. And of course that's the thing, like, not everyone likes the same music, so you can never please everyone, and there's always gonna be someone that hates on the music. But I struggle so much with that part of it. Just my videos, I can put together a video in just a few hours, but when it comes to time to find the music, I spend more time looking for music than I do actually just putting the video together. What is your favorite part of creating YouTube videos? I don't know. I just enjoy the whole process. I enjoy the creative side of it, even the challenge of the music. I just enjoy putting it all together. And obviously going out and filming it is really enjoyable as well. I honestly think even if I didn't have the YouTube channel, I'd probably still have the cameras and still video it. And I mean, I guess I created the YouTube channel to create videos for myself in the first place. You know, I never originally started it to get a bunch of subscribers. I just did it because I enjoy it. Could you walk away from YouTube and never look back? No. Well, maybe.
It's an addiction.
It is an addiction. It's definitely an addiction. Like, going back and looking at the analytics all the time, seeing how your latest video is doing, I spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time looking at it, a lot of time talking about it to my poor wife, to poor Elizabeth. But like I said just now, even if I didn't have the channel, I'd still be videoing. I'd still be editing those videos for myself. When do you think your channel is going to make it big time? That's a difficult question. What do you think?
I'd say it's big time already. I didn't think you'd get anywhere. I thought you might make $1 and that was about it, and there'd be one person on the internet watching you going, woohoo.
Oh, well, thanks. You mean my mom?
Yes.
Yeah, watching all my videos.
So to me, you've already made it big. It's great.
To me, I think it's tough. Like, you look at the channels on YouTube, there are channels with millions and millions of subscribers. For overlanding, I don't think you're ever going to make it big time like that. You look at some of the biggest channels, the biggest ones in the United States, where they're like 250,000 subscribers maybe. So I don't think you're ever going to make it big time in that sense. In terms of YouTube, in terms of like overlanding channels, I think around 50,000 is probably where you're starting to make it. So I'm a ways off. I'd like to get there in the next year or so. That'd be nice. Before we do some of the Patreon ones, there's one question that just comes up all the time. And this is just pulled from like pretty much every single video I do, and it'll probably be on this one too. Where are you from? I'm from
Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky. Yeah, born and raised.
Possum trot.
Possum trot?
Possum
Okay.
trot.
Possum trot. No, actually, I'm from England, and I moved here 10 years ago. So I've got kind of this weird mashup of both accents, and I guess I sound odd. Like, people can never place it.
You always sound odd.
Well, thanks.
They always say you're Australian.
They do always say I'm Australian. And that leads on to the next question, how did I get here? And that kind of goes with another question I had, how did you meet your wife? Well, it's her fault I'm here. She's the one that dragged me to Kentucky. She studied abroad in England. I met her at college or university there and came back with her.
He followed me.
I did. Been regretting it ever since. No, I'm just kidding. Cut that.
Oh,
That's
that
your
was
question.
my question.
Why do you like taking your wife with you? Yeah, she commented that one. I like taking her with me because she's okay company, but mainly I need someone to drive while I'm flying the drone.
Wow. I meant it. That was a day I was feeling frustrated, stuck on a trail with you.
Oh, which trail was that?
Somewhere out west.
Oh.
Wyoming or something.
Like, why do you have to drag me
Yes,
along?
like, why are you forcing me to come with you?
You do enjoy it, don't you?
Sometimes. I enjoy it sometimes.
Do you enjoy overlanding?
Sometimes. Sometimes no.
Do you want to elaborate?
I like driving and I like doing the off-roading, but I really hate when we're just stuck in the vehicle for hours and it's just nothing but dirt, rocks, dirt, or just endless shaking after 10 hours. I'm done.
That makes sense.
Or
Like the
when
trails in Idaho
Yeah.
with the snow.
Yeah. Or if we've been like 2 days without seeing highway or smooth pavement, I get migraines pretty easily.
At that point, you're done.
Yeah. Also, you get really hangry.
I do get hangry
Yeah.
when I'm hungry.
If he's not fed on his schedule, we get into a tough trail, and he's like, well, we'll eat when we're done with this patch.
I do. That's probably a
Then-
weakness I have when it comes to I
Yeah.
just want to keep on pushing through whatever's difficult, and I end up getting really hungry and
Really
grumpy
hangry.
as a result. You're distracting me. Come on.
You're being very loud.
Come on.
Why are you so needy?
Yeah. I'll show you who's distracting us here. This is Loki when he comes up, and he plays fetch. This is his little toy, so he keeps dropping this on us and trying to get us to throw it for him, and then he'll bring it back. And I think in a second he'll be up here to get this. While we wait for him to come up, we'll go on to some Patreon questions here. So Tim and Michelle from Dinosaur Overland say, what's the next big addition to the setup? Because obviously it never gets finished. And honestly, I don't know what's next. There are two things I need. One of them, I want it, and it would be very useful. That's power. I have the Jackeries in there at the moment. And the Jackeries have plenty of power, but they just recharge too slowly. And when you're going through drone batteries like I do, I can't keep up. So I need to contact Overland Power Solutions and have them put in a dual battery setup. And then the other thing that I desperately need are skid plates, because what I've got, just the stock ones, just don't cut it. Jonathan says, I know you've built your own heat and shower system. Is there anything else that didn't make the video so far? Have I done any other DIY that didn't make a video? There's a ton of stuff. Like if you look on my hard drive, and it's not necessarily DIY stuff, but there's a ton of stuff that I videoed with the intention of putting something out and never got around to it. Quite a few reviews that I did. And the trouble is when you make a YouTube video, if you don't then go home and start editing it right away, it kind of gets pushed to the back, and then you go back and you watch it later and like, this is junk. I can't do anything with it. So there are a bunch. It's tough to think of any off the top of my head. I know there's one I did on the Curry Stud review. I did a video on Jeremy's Sequoia, and I might still make a video on that. We went out and spent the whole day videoing it. That never happened. We did a trip to North Carolina. Didn't do that one. It's, again, none of these are DIY, but we went out to the beach in North Carolina. It just ended up not being what I imagined it to be. The beaches out there are packed, and there wasn't any space for any kind of camping or anything. So
There were supposed to be wild horses, and we thought it was like wilderness, and instead it was just horses walking around a town.
yeah, so that we ended up kind of not making a video there, which is a shame. But we still enjoyed our time at the beach. Juliet Sierra says, what type of camera video gear are you using to make your videos? Actually, that's another one I made a video on, and I ended up just throwing that away as well. I did a video on all the camera gear that I use, and of course that's a little more difficult because I'm currently videoing. Right there, this is my main camera. It's a Sony a7 III, and I've got two lenses for it. Right now, I just have to lean forward and take a look. I can't remember what it is. 24 to 105, I think, G Master lens on it, and then I've got a Tamron lens as well. I can't remember what it is, but I'll put a link to both those in the description so you can see those. And then over there, that one's filming as well, and I just realized I left a filter on it, so it's probably gonna be a little dark. That one's the Sony A6300 with the something to 135 lens on it. And then a lot of stuff's on the GoPro as well. GoPro is what goes up in the dashboard and it gives really good stable footage up there. So I got a question from Carol who's asking about campsites. Do we plan? Do we set out reservations? Do we plan where we're going to go? Or do you just kind of show up? And Snoop52 has a similar question, says what's the process you use to find campsites? And for the most part, we don't plan where we're going to camp. When I did one of my first big trips, I kind of set out an entire itinerary. Like I had the route, I had how long it was going to take us to drive each part, where we were going to stop, where we were going to camp, that kind of thing. And I think we ended up camping at just one of the places I had planned, just because we didn't have time to get to everywhere else. We kind of...
It must have made you feel rushed every evening, like you had to be somewhere.
We felt really rushed getting to a certain place at a certain time. We would skip cool looking things because we had to get to a certain place. So now we don't do that. In fact, I don't plan specific campsites at all. What I usually do is if I know I'm going to be in a certain area, I'll go onto iOverlander and I'll find some cool looking campsites and I just drop a bunch of pins on Gaia just so I have some backup sites I can go to. But other than that, we kind of find the places as we go, either through just driving through National Forest, BLM, or her job's the iOverlander stuff. Yeah, and like I said, some of them we just stumble across. I think my favorite campsite, the one up on Last Dollar, we just kind of stumbled upon a few years ago, and we've stayed there every year since.
And you keep track of campsites and campgrounds that you really like as well, like the one near Zion.
Yeah, I do. So there's been a few that we've revisited, and obviously I put all that stuff up on Patreon as well. Usually what I do is while I'm driving around, if I see a place you can camp at, even if I don't stay there, I usually drop a pin just so I share that with you on Patreon. This one's specifically for you, from Inspiration Overland. Book recommendations.
Book recommendations from your wife for trips. I don't know. It just depends. It depends on what you like to read. It's your own personal choices. I like to pick longer fantasies because Rob does not allow me to keep a lot of books in the vehicle, so I have to be really choosy. He'll let me have like 6.
6 for what, like 2 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah, that's not enough. So I try and pick like really long, epic fantasies that will take me a while to get through, so that I have enough reading material for the entire trip.
Yeah, we do audiobooks as well. I listen to audiobooks while I'm driving, especially on the highway. We use Audible, and actually I think if I put a link to a free trial, you can get 2 free audiobooks at the moment from them. So I love Audible, and there was one series that we listened to quite a lot, the Lumine Files. I think it's a young adult series, but I really like it. It's a sci-fi young adult, very entertaining. So Nick wants to know things you think everyone should have for overlanding, and then he goes on and says things you still want, and then things that didn't work out for you. That's a really tough question to answer because obviously everyone's needs are different, and a lot of the stuff we have are wants rather than needs. You know, things like our rooftop tent. It's fantastic having a rooftop tent, and I'd never go without it. Same with the fridge. If you're camping for more than a week at a time, I'd highly recommend a fridge, but plenty of people get away with less. So a lot of it depends on your camping style. You know, some people love to just sleep in a hammock, and to some extent your budget as well. You know, if it's the choice between buying a fridge and going on a 2-week trip, go on the 2-week trip and take a $40 cooler. Things that didn't work out for you, the shower tent. If you watched our latest series, we had that pop-up one, switched it out. There's a lot of stuff I've bought and just don't use. I'm thinking about our camp chairs as well. We started off with some big Walmart camp chairs. They took up too much space, so we bought some folding ones that were about this big. We left them at home last time we went out. Now we've just got these little stools that we just kind of perch on. So next one's Mitchell McCoy asks, what do you do for a living? Actually, there's several questions on here. First one is, what do you do for a living? We are both teachers. We're both middle school teachers, it's an interesting time about now. Yeah, she teaches math and I teach science. And I think I've had someone comment recently, they said, I can't remember which, it was in talking about the Grand Tetons, I was talking about the history of the Tetons, and someone said, you sound like a science teacher. I was like, yep, certainly do. And I think, do any of your students watch?
Yeah, they have found it a few times. A couple students over time have found
Yeah.
it.
So I know I had a few years ago. I had a group of students, and it kind of somehow got out through them all that this channel existed. So a whole bunch of them started watching. So that's where I got a bunch of subscribers and watchers from. But generally, I don't tell them about it. I don't talk about it at all at school. So the next part of Mitchell's question was, how do you decide to do YouTube full time? And that's something we've thought about, or I've thought about for a really long time. I think Lifestyle Overland ended up going full time around the same number of subscribers I'm at, and that was obviously really successful for them. We're not at that stage. I'm not at that stage. There's a lot of stuff to consider when trying to switch over to YouTube full time. Obviously there's the income, but there's just a ton of expenses with the YouTube channel. Right now it's just kind of self-sustaining, so any of the money that the YouTube videos make goes back into making more videos. So I can't even afford to live off it at this stage, let alone do things like healthcare, retirement, that kind of stuff. So I don't know how he did it. I think they ended up selling, or they didn't have a house. They ended up selling everything, which I guess we could do, but then
No.
That's a no. Okay. Was it both of your ideas to do YouTube? No, as Elizabeth's already kind of mentioned, she thought it was kind of dumb.
I thought it was a joke.
So one of these questions that's come up a lot, I got it from Shane, got it from Ross. They're asking about trails around here. Shane specifically says Ohio. Well, you're out of luck in Ohio. Ross says favorite trails near Knoxville. And to answer both of you, really the Kentucky Adventure Tour, all the stuff in this area, it's a fantastic trail system. Jeff put it together, a guy called Jeff put it together, about 1,000 miles. And it's so much of a variety as you go around the loop. And one of the things about the Kentucky Adventure Tour people don't seem to realize is you don't have to do the whole thing at once. People seem to think like, I recommend it, and they'll say, well, I don't have a week to do that. It doesn't matter. You come down for a weekend, do 2 days of it, go back home, come back again, do some more. So it's a great trail system. I really recommend it around here. So Melvin says, is there a place you'd like to travel that you haven't been to before? And yes. Oh yeah. Like, the list of places I need to go is really long. And actually someone on here said, how can I get you to go to Nevada? They want to show me some around some ghost towns in Nevada. I mean, it's just...
That sounds fun.
It does sound fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just so many places. And some of the places we've been, I need to go back. Like Idaho, I want to go back.
Yeah.
Washington, Oregon, California, like the entire length of the whole Pacific coast down to Baja. We've talked about doing South America. I don't know if I've talked to you about South America. Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
Andreas, with your
with Andreas.
rudimentary Spanish skills.
I know I want to do like this Iceland. I want to go around to Iceland. I've been to New Zealand before, but you haven't. I really want to go to New Zealand and rent a vehicle in New Zealand and do a couple of weeks there too. There's just so many places around the world. The list, like I feel like we'll never run out of places to go. Where haven't I been?
Ohio.
Somehow I printed this one off Microscopic. Oh, I can't read the name, but this person, they're coming down YouTube. They want to know about the episode where you almost rolled the vehicle.
Well, for a long time, I didn't realize it was actually a serious situation. You were very serious about it, and you were like, keep your foot on the brake, and I was like, yeah, okay. It wasn't until we were out that it kind of sunk in that it was dangerous. Yeah,
that was a little sketchy, and I mean, thankfully we had the winch and we had that one single tree there that was available. How did that even happen?
I was going a little fast and enjoying myself on the sand. Remember, I was going fast and it was bouncing.
Yeah.
And I took the corner too wide.
Just too close to the edge.
Too close to it. Well, it would have normally been plenty of room, but with sand,
Yeah, the sand, like, if it had been solid surface, you'd been fine, but the sand was just...
at least a foot away from the edge, but the sand just started pulling.
Yeah.
And he did really well. He didn't fuss at me over that.
Do about me? Yeah. Someone commented on there saying, like, I need to be nicer to you, and I probably do, but I wasn't. In that case, I was just joking when I was being mean. Like, it wasn't... We had a solution. It wasn't a big deal. And I feel like that was actually the second issue we'd had that day. That was a very stressful day, because the other one was at Coral Pink Sand Dunes, where... she was driving, having a lot of fun, going up towards a hill, and there was a problem. And I reached over to steer for her because I realized the way she was going wasn't going to work. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want her to panic. But I started steering for her, and of course the first thing she did was slam on the brakes, which on a
I didn't know what was going on. You didn't warn me. You just grabbed the wheel from me.
No,
So
I feel like I couldn't have warned you I think you would have slammed on the brakes either way.
Probably.
So, but it ended up being okay, and we got out of that one as well. But very stressful day that day.
And you get hangry, but you're never mad at me if I break something or nearly die or anything. You handle that pretty well.
Yeah.
Lack of food? No.
Yeah. If I've not
Certain
had
death.
enough food, angry. If she breaks something, it's not a big deal. Like the bumper that happened when we were up in Idaho. No, Wyoming. Not a big deal. Like I can get over stuff like that. Scratches, dents, I get over it. It happens. It's part of it.
If I die, he'll get over it.
Next one on here. Where are you going next? Where are we going next? Come on, you know the answer to this question. Where are we going next? Going there
I've
in
been paying attention.
6 days
Oh,
or 5
Colorado.
days.
Yeah, we're going to Colorado
Yes.
again.
By the time you watch this video, we will have, hopefully, unless something happens, and you never know, hopefully we will have gone to Colorado. The numerous few. So there's several people asking for tips on here. What's a good cheap vehicle to get into overlanding with under $10,000? The trouble is there's just so many and it all depends on your needs. I have become a Toyota fan. I was driving the Jeep. I do think my Jeep was great. I spent $7,000 on that Jeep and it was a fantastic vehicle. I didn't trust it quite as much as I do my 4Runner. I feel my 4Runner has needed a lot less work. In fact, I don't think I've had to do any major repairs to the 4Runner other than just switching out the brakes.
Fixing the damage from me.
And fixing the damage from her, yeah. But other than that, and actually I damaged it too. Last time I went out, pulled some trim off. But I had to do a lot more maintenance on the Jeep. Tacomas, they're good vehicles. What else? Xteras. Got any suggestions?
$1,000 Grand Cherokee with murder stains in the
Yeah,
back.
if you want something really
That was
cheap,
how we started.
you could get the '97 Grand Cherokee I had, which was the most unreliable vehicle I've ever owned, and it only had 97,000 miles. So it was the lowest mileage off-road vehicle that I've owned. Talking of off-road vehicles, Low Will says, how's the LX470 holding up? And actually, you can get those for under $10,000 as well. And those are fantastic vehicles, those and Land Cruisers, but the LXs are generally cheaper. That's not actually my vehicle, that's Wes's, who's traveled with us several times, and it's still going strong. It's got over, I think it's 215,000 miles on it, and he doesn't have any issues either. He's had to do a little bit more maintenance than I do, to like the AHC, change the water pump, timing belt, that kind of thing. But it's a fantastic vehicle. Jonathan B says, what's your impression of the rooftop tent, the Alpha, after using it for a while? Now, I just did a video on it that came out, I'm assuming probably 2 weeks before this video is coming out. So I talked about my views on it. What do you think?
I like it a lot. The mattress is much thicker on the new one than the old one. The old one was 2 inches of memory foam.
Yeah, the old one it was the old Smittybilt XL, and the mattress is far better on our new one.
I'll also say it just feels a lot sturdier. The Smittybilt, like if you pressed against the metal rails, they would bend, whereas they don't do that in the
Same with
Alpha.
the base. The base of it's a lot more flexible in the Smittybilt.
Yeah. When you crawled on your hands and knees in the Smittybilt, you could feel the metal bowing underneath you, which was alarming, and it would crack and creak, pop and make noises.
Yep.
And you don't hear that at all in the Alpha. It feels a lot sturdier.
Would you go camping without the rooftop tent?
No. I also
So-
like the ladder on the Alpha better. Sturdier. Feels a lot better.
It is a lot better. Everything in general is a lot better. She loves the rooftop tent. I love the rooftop tent. It's really nice having that really quick setup at camp as well. And talking of rooftop tents, DC says, what's your favorite upgrade so far and why? The favorite's got to be the rooftop tent.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the 4Runner. 4Runner, rooftop tent.
I would say the rooftop tent over the 4Runner.
Okay. And then I think the upgrade I was most thankful for was the winch that I put on the 4Runner right before the last trip, just because it saved us.
Oh, an upgrade I'm thankful for was the shower system that you put in.
Oh, the shower. Yeah, that's actually... Yeah,
that was a
things
game
like that.
changer.
Yeah, the shower has been so nice to have, because if you're out in the desert, and I get there've been a lot of comments. That's been a very... it's been watched a lot of times. There's a lot of people that comment on there something like, well, just find a creek just bathe in the creek. And
It's cold.
well, if you're in Idaho, it's really cold, and if you're in Utah, it's non-existent. So I don't know. The shower has been really, really nice to have, and it means we don't have to stop at campgrounds to shower. We don't have to go to rest areas to shower. And I know a lot of people use wet wipes, but they just don't. They don't cut it when you've been out for 2 weeks. It's just not good enough. Yeah, well worth it. If you haven't seen that shower video, you've got to check it out. It's really worth having. And I think fridge is another one of those things that's a big change. It's another thing that people hate on, like, oh, you don't really need a fridge, but it's made life a lot easier. You know, we can go, like this next trip we've got coming up, but we're only going to be gone for about 10 days, maybe 11 days, but we won't stop in town at all except for gas. And we can do that because of the fridge. JCF 150 says favorite camp activity. We don't really hang out at camp a whole lot.
We usually roll in and it's dark and
we're all in, we make dinner.
We cook, we make dinner, we chat, we shower, yeah.
And
we
then
talk.
She'll sit in the tent and read.
He takes pictures of the stars.
Yeah, I'll take some pictures, take some video. She'll sit in the tent and read.
Yeah.
And then I'll usually come in and I'll transfer video files across to my hard drive. And that's it. So I don't really do a whole lot of stuff at camp. Waypoint Overland says, how do you come up with travel ideas? And I guess in terms of states I go to, occasionally, you know, I watch some YouTube videos online, so I'll see somewhere I want to go, but most of it is just, I want to go to this state. And from there, I'll break that down into things that are worth seeing in that state. And I did a whole video on how I pick my routes, how I choose where I want to go. And a lot of it's just based on Google. Google Street View. Google does like a featured, I can't remember the name of it, but does like featured locations. I'll just browse around on Google Satellite, Google Earth, and just find cool looking places to go. So Keegan, I think it's Keegan, says, if you're using a base camp mentality, so making camp in one location for more than one night, do you think you'd still go for the rooftop tent, or you'd do an off-road camper or trailer? In my opinion, they're asking for my opinion here, I don't like trailers. They're great for some people. If I had a family with me, I'd probably get a trailer just for the extra space. I still don't like them though, even with the extra room. I'd stick with the rooftop tent, especially with the new one, the Tough Stuff Alpha. It just sets up so quickly. I timed it for my last video and it was like 1.5 minutes to set up and just under 2 minutes to put down again, and that's without even rushing. So I personally would stick with just the rooftop tent unless I needed the space.
You had a trailer.
I did have a trailer. Yeah, I had an old M416 military trailer and I ended up selling it just because I didn't like taking it with me. This question says, you navigate and do your planning by map or using Gaia to plan? What's the best combination or mix of them both? So I do a little bit of both. I do use my atlases in planning, but when I do that, everything goes on the Gaia. And I actually use some paper maps. I got a friend who owns axlesandantennas.com. He does map printing, so I'll have him print some of these. He has enhanced motor vehicle use maps. So again, I use those to I like to get a nice big picture of what's going on, and then all of that goes into Gaia, where I have the track that I'll follow while we're actually driving. I always take my atlases with me. I think every time we've gone out, we've ended up using the atlases to kind of find a backup plan, so it's well worth having the paper there with you too. So the last question is FSJ Overlanding says, what are some unexpected things you've seen or discovered on your adventures?
For me, it would be wildlife.
Wildlife, that's a big thing. Like, I really enjoy seeing wildlife. Like, it's always a surprise when you see some really cool wildlife, like the moose.
The bear cub that I almost hit in North Carolina.
Oh, the bear cub.
That was very early on.
I'll put a picture of that up. That's a long time ago, that one. And then we saw several bears this summer as well.
And the moose in Idaho.
That was really
cool.
Yeah, the moose. I don't know if I got it across in the video really well, but that moose circled us for probably about 10-15 minutes. And when we first saw it, it was really close, like about car length in front of the 4Runner. Unfortunately, none of us had our cameras with us or rolling at the time, so we didn't get that, but it gave us so many opportunities to get it on video and to see it as it just circled us, watching us in the middle of these woods. It's kind of a little spooky as well, wasn't it?
A little eerie, yeah.
That whole forest was a little eerie because it was dead quiet except for the really weird bird noise. Just sounded like someone whistling off in the woods somewhere. And then obviously like this moose just shows up out of nowhere. So when we camped there, I had the bear spray close by all night because I was expecting some other wildlife. What else? What other unexpected things?
Just some of the scenery. Like, you can see pictures of out west, but you never realize how open it is until you're on a cliff, like the Schaefer Trail.
Schaefer Trail. Oh yeah,
Where
the
it's
Schaefer Trail is just beautiful.
Just sheer cliffs and
yeah, there've been some places.
beautiful landscapes.
There've been some places we've gone not really expecting it to be just quite as beautiful as it was, and I think the Schaefer Trail is a good example of that. We did that. I did that for the first time 2 years ago, and we'd gone up to Canyonlands National Park, and we were just trying to figure out what would be the best way to go home, and we went into the visitor center, and there was this little map with this little trail going down the side. I'm like, oh, we'll go check it out, and it just ended up being an incredible trail. I also like, and I know Elizabeth doesn't appreciate this as much, this occasionally like abandoned structures, like old mines, I think are really cool to go in and visit. Like the ones up on, there's the ghost town Animus Forks, and near it there's another.
That one is cool.
That is cool. There's another mine nearby. Creed in Colorado has a fantastic mine you can go check out. I'm actually going to go there, which I'm sure you're happy to know about. So you'll probably see that in next week's video, or maybe the week after. Depends how much we get, how much filming we get done if we go. And then in Utah, the Green River Launch Complex was just something that just kind of popped up on the map while I was driving, and decided to check it out, and that was really cool as well. So an abandoned nuclear weapons launch site. I think for just testing in the Utah desert, they just tested from it.
You didn't see that with me.
No, that was 2 years ago. I was alone when I did that. That was another one of those places that's really spooky. I was completely by myself, and you never know what's in these buildings. They're all just open. There could be scary homeless people in there. There could be wildlife in there.
Aliens.
So, aliens, yeah, in the middle of Utah. It felt like the kind of place that would have them. So that was another place that was kind of creepy, and I ended up not sleeping there just because I was by myself. But definitely really cool to see. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do have any other questions, let me know. And if there are other videos you want to see, I'm kind of stuck for ideas at the moment on what to make videos on. So come up with something for me. Do my work for me. Suggest it in the comments.
Yeah, that's so boring.
Oh,
Nobody cares.
You're rude.
Yeah.
Never gonna edit.
You're gonna be like, let's refill all of it.
I might have to.
No, we're not. You're gonna make it work.
Tell us about that moment.
I don't know what to say.
Am I boring you?
Yeah, you are.